All right, everybody, welcome to DCxPC Live presents Scene Support, the podcast that highlights the unsung heroes of the music scene. The recording engineers, show promoters, photographers, labels, graphic artists, scene writers, sound people, and more. I'm your host, Scott Pash, owner and operator of DCxPC Live, a DIY punk label that specializes in hardcore punk, ska, and metal albums on vinyl. All live albums, because live albums is how it should fucking be. I have 30 years of experience playing drums in hardcore and punk bands in New York, Florida, and in DC, obviously DCxPC. And I'm also a show promoter and a booker. And I've had the privilege of working with a lot of amazing people. Today's guests are Savannah and Dez from Poison Paradise Records, whom I first came to know as members of the kick-ass punk band, The Modern Fucking Natives. No, fucking's not in there, but it should be. Beyond their musical endeavors, both have become vital pillars of support for the punk scene in multiple capacities. Dez has earned a reputation as an exceptional sound engineer and recording specialist. I've had the privilege of working with him at numerous shows where his meticulous attention to detail and unwavering dedication consistently brings out the best sound in every band that takes the stage. Savannah brings her expertise to the business side of punk, providing comprehensive support to bands through tour booking, marketing services, EPK creation, website development, social media management. Her work helps artists navigate the complex landscape of modern music promotion while staying true to the DIY principles. Having run a label myself while writing reviews, booking and promoting shows, and hosting this podcast, I know firsthand the challenges of wearing multiple hats in the scene. I'm excited to dive in to see how these two balance it all while maintaining the high standards across everything they fucking do. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Thank you for having us. We're very excited.
Yes,
Thank you for being on here. So, like I said, you have a broad array of things, and I'm not exactly sure where I want to start. Is there some place you would like to start and say, give me your 1-minute elevator speech of like what it is you offer the world? Like, you are a major supporting aspect in my mind. So what would you like to start with?
It starts with being in a band, right?
Okay.
I want to write a song. Okay, now I got to figure out how to write a song. I want to record a song. I want to play a show. How do I book a show? I want to go on tour. How do I go on tour? And how you go on tour? You need a website presence. You need social media. You need EPK. And I want to go on a huge tour. I want to go from Florida to Alaska. Now we're talking about, like, you have a whole crew. A whole set of hats you wear.
Yes.
And that's how it starts, right? You want to do it all. So it's all DIY.
So you basically took all the things you did for yourself as a band and said, well, if we can do this for our fucking selves, we can help other people do it. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we ever advise anybody that we have not done ourselves. And so that's something I love about us is we don't experiment with other people's money or time. We know because we've done it, and that's the beauty. We're trying to save people the time and the hassle of doing things wrong. Like, we've been ripped off by bookers that are like, yeah, give us a bunch of money up front, and then they don't book anything, or we don't hear from them, or promoters that say they're promoting a show. We get there, the venue hasn't even heard that we were playing, things like that.
Or even just getting nicked off of like a one sheet. Somebody makes you a one sheet. That was a terrible experience. Or somebody like trying to give you some press, and
they just copy and paste your press release in there, and like, yeah. I've had PR people that have literally told me that they're going to get me press, and I'm pretty sure they created their own WordPress website that actually has no readership, and like posted it on there, and they like pretend that's a press site. I'm like, I've never heard of this. This links to nothing. There's no advertisers. Like, this is not a real website. Like, this is you posting the bands that pay you for press on your website that nobody reads.
We've had that experience, and then to go further, we check a lot of our media pretty regularly, and there's been times where, it's like, oh, it's time to update our website, double check, make sure everything's working still, and those old articles are gone. Like, that website's shut down.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, God, that really was fake. And
yeah, it was a big scam.
It's not really there. It's a waste of time. So let's start with the one that I find most difficult for me as a label is like booking. Because I've been booking shows now for like plus 30 years, and I book multiple tours for my own bands. And every now and then I help out people. And I've always refused to take any money for it because, well, if you do it for free and you help someone out and it's a shit show, Hey, I helped you out. You didn't know what you're doing. I got you to play the skate park in Roanoke, and the skate park in Roanoke is actually really good. But I put you someplace that's not really good, and I didn't know any better, and I did my best, and 3 people showed up. It's not my problem. But if someone says, "Oh, I'm going to give you like this amount of flat fee and 20% of every door," then there's a lot more pressure on that. So how do you handle that? Like, because you're not 100% in control. Like, you are at a distance, booking someone in Iowa, dealing with a promoter that hopefully you know, but you might have been referred from someone else, and you're taking that chance. Like, how do you gamble all that? How do you manage that?
So there's a few things. One, absolutely open communication. I don't keep anybody from anybody else. Venue knows who's coming. The artist knows where they're going. They're aware of promoters and stuff. Everybody's put in touch with everybody. It's all about group communication. As far as payment goes, if it's under a certain pay, I'll take a flat rate. If it's over a certain pay, I will take a percentage of it. And that's because that's my time. These are my relationships with these venues on the name. But I also take on social media, putting the event together, doing the flyer, and then doing a certain series of posts, right? The day it's announced, a month in advance, 2 weeks in advance, a week in advance, day of show, all that. And I do that because very often bands are like, I'm excited, I'm going to promote. And then they don't. Or the venue.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah. or a venue, sometimes it's a restaurant or a brewery. They've got their own shit to do. They're not sitting there promoting. They're hoping that the people they've hired to come in are going to do it for them. So I like to remove that pressure. And I think because I can take away certain pressures from the band or from the venue or the event itself, then they can give back that trust and show up and do their job a little bit easier.
Scott, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever booked a show like 3 months, 4 months, whatever months in advance, and when you hit up the venue again, like you're giving your like a 2-month a warning or 1 month warning, they're like, that manager hasn't worked here for 3 weeks. Who are you?
I actually have never had that happen. I've had venues burned down twice. The closest I ever had was that a band booked a show for us because their band was playing, and we were going to like Austin, Texas, and then they broke up, so the show was canceled, but they never told me it was canceled.
Oh no.
And when we got there, I was like, what's going on? I was like, oh, that show was canceled like 3 weeks ago. The band broke up that was headlining, so we canceled the show. And I was like, yeah. And, I contacted the band, and, this was like 2005, so like maybe cell phones existed. Like, it wasn't like prevalent. And the guy actually did show up, and he got us a show across the street at a punk karaoke night, and we got to like play. But it was like, dude, like we've had this booked months in advance.
Yeah.
And I send follow-up emails and messages, like everything good, yada, yada, yada. And yeah.
And that is probably one of the hardest things about working with bands and venues too, is like, you can do everything correctly, right? You can do the promo correctly. You can do all the outreach correctly. Something could happen. And it could be as simple as the band breaks up, the venue has a flood in the basement, or the van breaks down on the way, hours before. But that's also what's super important about when I'm doing the outreach for booking. You better believe I have backup bands waiting on standby, ready to jump into the lineup. So now if something happens, somebody's ready. Or, maybe there's a house party nearby, turn it into some kind of celebration either way. Or maybe there's another venue where the band canceled and they still have some kind of last minute availability.
We've experienced going to a venue and they're like, sorry, that person doesn't exist anymore. In California, like, we put another band. We don't even know who you are, but we have a band that night. We're like, we're 1 day away. We're in Northern California driving to you. And, the band we just played with, they're like, I know a place in Santa Rosa that might, let you play out of the blue. And sure enough, here we are in Santa Rosa playing a Saturday night in downtown for tips.
And that was a band that we had met the day before that just, they knew the area and they sent us in the right spot. It really wasn't far off our route. So it worked out. And even though it was like a night playing for tips, we still did pretty well for ourselves. Yeah. So it was like, hey, we'll call it even and move on to the next town.
So when you book shows for bands, so like you're booking a tour for a band, I'm your band, I'm on the road, I'm in the middle of bumfuck Idaho, and all of a sudden my show is canceled, and I call you up, and 3 hour time difference. So I'm calling you, it's 7 o'clock at night, and it's 10 o'clock, and you've already laid down for bed, and I'm like, hey, our show's canceled. What are we going to do about it? Can you find us another show tonight? What do you say?
I say let's talk about our options. We can rush, or you could take the night and rest. We can regroup, travel safely to the next one. But if you're really dead set on playing, of course I'll get up and I'll go make the calls, and I'll see who else is in the area, try and figure out what happened, because we always, I take the writings, the agreements, everything in writing all the time. Like, we agree to it on the phone even, great. I'll send you an email and I want you to confirm it, so that there's, to a degree, everything should be in writing, and nobody should be, jerking anybody else around. But if it happens, it's unfortunate. And of course, I would do my best to try and fill it in. And if I can't, then, again, the sensible thing, let's calm down, regroup, and end the night on a nice night, and we will travel safely to the next place.
I've had the shows that get canceled, and we go and buy a case of beer, a cat puzzle, and we go to a hotel, and we watch CSI, and we do a cat puzzle, and we drink some beer, and we're done.
There were some nights where, if it was not an unexpected cancellation, we had one night, we were in California, and the bartender got real wasted real quick. And at the end of the night, she was like, I'm not paying you guys anything. You didn't bring anyone in. And we're like, but you're not even the owner. Like, we didn't have this agreement with you, and you didn't promote.
Like, we're a touring band.
And that was a night for us where it was like somebody pulled out the Wii, playing Smash Bros, end the night with laughter, right? Always try and end it on a nice, now it's a funny story. Like, oh, remember that time that bartender got wasted and
that
didn't
lady
pay
was
us?
destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
So, that lady was more than wasted. She was partying hard.
Do you deal with a lot of bands who have never been on tour, and then you have to give them lots of advice on what to expect, because they're like, oh, I want to do this, and they don't really understand. So, like, what is your, like, launch-in, like, hey, let's talk about this, let's do some FAQ, some, like, just facts of touring that you need to be aware of, some hard truths that you may not be prepared to handle?
One of the first things I always ask, again, I came from fisheries ecology, so very data-driven. One of the first things I always ask is, do you just want to go to on tour, or do you have actual numbers to support what you're doing? And a lot of the cases, people are like, I'm headstrong and I just want to do it. It's an experience I would like to have. Like, okay, well, let's move on. Do you have friends in certain places, or, and a lot of the time these bands, no, they have not been out of town, let alone, they've done the local thing, but they skip the regional thing. They want to kind of go far. And that's fine. But the questions such as, do you have savings? They'll be like, well, that's kind of personal. It's like, I know, and I don't want to know how much you have, but if the van breaks down, say your transmission goes or something, like, how are you getting to these places? What are you sleeping in? Do you have savings in case there's an emergency? And a lot of them are, let's do basic math. Let's say you want to travel X amount of miles. Well, here's how much you need in gas money alone. Hey, if you're going through Ohio, you're going on the Ohio Turnpike, you need this amount in tolls. Or, I mean, God forbid they're driving through New York City, you know what the tolls are like around there.
For real.
And so when you start giving bands number, and I don't want to say I chase away our business, but I don't want to set things up for people that are like, I don't mind playing a show for 2 hours and then I'm going to drive 9 hours and play the next day. I'm like, I wouldn't do that. So I don't feel comfortable sending people out on those kind of.
I haven't done that since I was like 19.
Yeah.
Like in 30 years.
But again, I don't mean to chase away business, but I do hope that when it happens, and I don't want to discourage them either, I just want everyone to be prepared, and hopefully someday these bands can look back and be like, that lady was looking out for us,
Yeah.
And I'm sure they do. And that's probably one of the toughest things to do, because unfortunately with the punk scene, venues shut down all the time, promoters move, bands break up. So even if you have a list of contacts, within a year or two, that contact list could be heavily outdated.
For real.
You're in this constant flux of, oh, that band's not around anymore. Well, maybe they'll still answer their email and tell me who is, or, oh, that band regrouped, or that venue shut down, or this promoter is taking a break. And I'm like, I'm not helping you right now.
No, it's not. And that's, even now, when I book, there are still venues that'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to rebound from COVID and I have not been able to bring music back yet. You know,
Wow.
these are places that used to be music and beer every night of the week,
Yeah.
and now it's just beer.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
It is.
So,
And they're everywhere. It's not even like they're concentrated out, out west, Midwest. Like they're sprinkled all around.
okay. So, booking, difficult. Be prepared. Be honest. Know what you're getting into. And you can help them out. What's the
Oh,
longest tour you've booked for someone?
For ourselves, 7 months straight.
Jumping Jesus on a pogo stick.
it was amazing.
Yeah. Every day was a learning experience,
Yeah.
and every day, it's funny. Anyone can make the argument like, well, how experienced are you guys? Like, well, 7 months straight, it was, not to say that's every experience you can ever get,
Sure.
but that's a lot of, let's say, touring years crammed into
Yep.
a couple seasons.
And 100%. People say, how do I know how to book? I was like, well, I've been booking shows for 30 years, but let's be fair. Most of the tours have been for my own band. And half the shows I did locally was when I was trading shows so that I could go on tour. Because I would say, hey, I need a show in Columbus, Ohio. If you book me a show there, I'll book you in Baltimore next time you're on the road. So that's literally how I got to booking shows, was because I had to book shows because I was booking a tour for myself.
Yeah. And that's a great strategy that I don't know. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that much anymore. I know it's done, but I don't hear so many people outwardly saying, I'll trade you this show for that show. And I don't know if it's not pride, but the whole like you want to seem put together. I feel that what comes with the DIY attitude a lot of the time is people really do think they have to do it themselves. They don't realize the value of a team or a
Yeah.
network, which it's not a bad thing to reach
I
out
mean,
to your community and
if when I would book shows at this place called the Charm Street Art Space in Baltimore, and as a promoter, if a band would reach out to me and say, "Hey, we need this," and by the way, we have good connections in Boston. If you ever want to come up, I would take that as like, "Thank you," and yes, that will make me consider booking you more as long as I still like your music. But the ability to show trade, I don't think that's anti DIY at all. I think that's how it used to happen. Like that's how I used to use your own book your own fucking life, the zine that came out with Maximum Rock and Roll in the '90s, and I would call random numbers up and say, "Hey, my band wants to come here," and they would say, "Okay, cool. Where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, the DC area." "Oh, can you help us out there?" I was like, they would just flat out ask, and I'd be like, "Of course I can, if I
yeah.
can." But and sometimes you can't. Like you always want to, but sometimes it's not always in your means.
God.
So.
How is your experience with the DC area versus this more upstate New York, Ben? What do you like more about it or dislike more?
I don't think they're dramatically that different other than DC, every venue's all ages for the most part.
Really?
At least it was when I was there. It was pretty consistently that way. There was a place called the U-Turn that we started doing shows at, and it was like 18 and up, and the message board exploded with people being sellouts for playing an 18 and up show because you have to do all ages because it's DC. Fugazi kind of set that standard. And then Johnny Bones from the Screws ran it. Great guy. But it wound up becoming all ages on a Thursday night. So like this is a dive bar that did S&M club, and for them to even consider doing just 18 and up, I thought was impressive. So, but most of the shit back then was all ages. In Baltimore too, mostly the same way in Richmond. So the whole DMV area was like kind of dedicated to making sure that kids could come. And I would say that's my biggest difference I have here because most of the shows I do up here are 21 and up.
Yeah, it's in South Florida. We used to always try to do it all ages or at least 18, and they're like, the venue's like, no way, dude. They need to have like a parent with them if you're gonna bring them. That's the only way I could do all ages. All their parents have to come, like
Yeah,
the beer
worlds
deal.
changes. Like Will's Pub in Orlando 20 years ago said they used to do all ages shows. And he's like, I could do them now, but no one even comes out anyway because parents aren't willing to like let their kids come to shows anymore. Like parents are so overprotective with their kids that even if he makes it all ages, the extra staff he would have to hire to make it safe for him to do that and check IDs and for security will not be helpful. He's like in the 90s there used to be a carpool lane of people dropping off their kids and picking them up.
Yeah.
But I can't get the all ages kids to come out. So why am I going to do all ages for just 5 kids? He's like, if I thought I could pack the place with 50 to 100 all ages kids, fine, I'd do it.
Right
But
on.
they're not coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, these are one of those chicken and eggs, though. Like how often did you try before you gave up? Will's a great guy, so no, like, absolutely fabulous dude. So I trust his judgment, though. If he says that's what it was like, then I 100%, yeah.
Right.
Right on.
So, Dez, obviously you've done lots of sound for me. You've done sound at 2 shows. You've recorded 2 shows. You're doing sound for me twice this coming weekend. Well, of course, it won't be this coming weekend by the time the podcast comes out. So by the time this podcast comes out, you'll probably have done like a half dozen shows for me. First thing I noticed is just the high quality of what you do. And you said you've been doing this for a long time, even back when you were in Alaska. Can you speak to a little bit about your time doing sound, recording? Like, what exactly is your, not your CV, that's way too fancy for punk rock, but, give me a little bit about, like, where you're at, where you're from, where'd you get all this knowledge and skill, dude?
I guess when I was younger, I wanted to record my band, right? But I had a sound in my head. I wanted it to be like I got this compliment once. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you said exactly what I wanted it to be." I wanted it to be like Metallica and Municipal Waste put together.
I love that.
Right? Progressive thrash, but like have slow parts and fast parts. And I wanted to have that vision, but I wanted to do it myself. I had a fascination with like getting it done. I love the kick. The sub is my favorite part. I love the feeling of when the song, while you're driving in the car and it hits you in the chest. And it's just oh, this is so rocking. So I went to a tech school after I graduated high school, SAE. I graduated from there, and I was doing local shows, and then I started doing my own shows later on. I called it Folk Punk and Friends.
All right, rad.
I actually built like a tiny little 2 by 5 foot stage. It was like 8 inches off the ground, and I'd lug it around with me, and while a band is playing on stage, when they're done playing, I'll have a folk dude play for like 15 minutes on that little stage.
Nice.
While the bands change over.
I like that, dude.
And I met Savannah, and we moved to Alaska. And in Alaska, they are dying for live music.
I'm sure they are.
They love it. They pay good, and there actually is a lack of engineers. So I worked for a company called SRS.
Okay.
And they do live production. And I started doing like fairs and festivals, setting up gear. I mean, when the Foo Fighters came, I was a stagehand.
Okay.
So it was like a big drive for live sound. So I did that for about a year and a half. And then when we came back the next summer, I did gigs for them as well when we toured back up. And all in during that motion, I was doing studio recording for myself.
Okay.
Constantly trying to get this vision in my head to come true, out on your car stereo.
That's awesome. So, do you do a lot of? I know you do the live stuff, obviously, because you've helped me with that. Do you record any bands? And do you have a home studio you record people?
Yeah, well, I was trying to help out some artists and bands in Alaska, and then as that trickled down, we moved to New York, and now we're opening up, our studios right in here, and we're trying to find some bands to record.
Okay,
I'm
rad.
dying to, but like I would love to like just bring it out.
Yeah, I'll start referring people to you once you're ready if you're ready to rock.
Oh, I'm definitely ready. We have the studio. Okay. We're building more acoustic panels.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and I'm a big believer. Like the guy who does a lot of DCPC stuff, he operates often out of a banquet hall from the Bagel King restaurant he works at. But he'll also go to bands' homes, and he's pretty convinced that he can go anywhere and make a band sound good once he gets an understanding of their surroundings, and that everyone that thinks they have to go to a $90 an hour studio with like separate rooms and all these, like, that's good, but you don't have to. A good engineer can record you in your living room and it's gonna sound fucking sick.
Well, I would agree with that, because when we were on tour, Des did a lot of our recordings when we were in the truck, like just in our RV, and it was like we would, if we had a few days off, and we had the money, we would stay at a campground so that we could plug into the electric, because obviously, we can't be recording with the generator running, but,
Yep.
We would plug in, and that's
Yeah, we have
how it would work.
a track called Bedroom Garbage that was done in the RV.
I think it was done in there start to finish, pretty much.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, that is like DIY. Like that is hardcore dope. Like I'm listening to the Keith Morris from Circle Jerks Black Flag off biography on my Audible, my long drives that I do, and just listening to some of the early shit that they did in the '80s. I mean, I feel like you're, without overstating it, Black Flag led the way, touring all over the place, and they found ways to record that like were totally outside the box. And I feel like that's what you're doing in some ways. Like you're doing it, and then you're passing it on to other people. And like, if we can do this, then we can help you do this. And very fucking cool. Like, just respect.
Thank you. Yeah, the recording nowadays with the technology, like we did it in the RV. You can do it in the RV now. It's so doable. And as far as it comes to mixing, if you know frequencies and you know pitch and you know how to take the ugly sounds out of every instrument has an ugly sound.
Yep.
And when you compress it really, really hard, you're going to bring that out. So it's the engineer's job to understand how to pull that out on the EQ. If you look at a lot of my EQs when I do your live shows or even when I do studio work, there's not a lot of boosting. I'm always pulling things out and then compressing it and smashing it, and everything comes up.
Okay.
It's like a Tetris game. It's like a Tetris game of sound, right?
and that's very familiar. So Tony Budd, he's the sound guy at Will's Pub, and he also works at a studio. So he does live and he does studio. He said very similar things. He's like, I don't usually tell a band how to change their guitar tone. He's like, tone's in my name. I'm Tony. But sometimes you'll have a tone that hits that frequency that's just grating, and they just don't know it. And I help them figure it out because like I do so much sound. He's like you say, like there's that frequency that's just like shouldn't be there.
It should be pleasant to listen to when it's turned up. Well, another deal. The problem with like the worst thing you can do is try to mix while playing an instrument because you're focused on playing the instrument. There's one thing where it feels good to play. There's another thing to sit back and listen to it and see if it makes you bob your head.
There's a band that I love live, but every time I put on their records, I actually get painful headaches right here in my temple.
Oh.
And I don't know if there's some sort of frequency in that I can't hear, like maybe like a dog whistle thing. Like there's just something that like I put it on and I'm like, oh, I can't listen to this. And then I go see them live and I love it. And I just can't.
When you see things live, our endorphins are pumping out. So even if the person is singing off key or playing off key or out of pitch, the feeling feels so good to be with them. So it's all the more of the experience.
Well, sure,
right?
That's why I do live records. Plug for myself there.
That's like the best part about live is that we get to connect chemically.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's a studio recording, I mean, that's just it's just technique. It's right. It's like it's tricking the mind to feel good with the recordings. Live, it's my heart and soul, my vibration busting up into your shit.
So you've got your studio, you've got booking agents. I know you like booking. Obviously, you do EPKs and press packages. I know you know how to do websites. So the name is Poison Paradise Records. Yeah. Have you released, or are you planning to work towards releasing records of bands, yours or others? Because I know most record labels start as releasing their own music. That's how mine started, so I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I love all kinds of music, as from punk to metal. I love pop. I love R&B. I love salsa, right? And I love dabbing and trying to write those kinds of songs, folk music, country music. So yeah. We plan on doing that for sure, like no doubt about it.
For me, it's definitely in the works, and co-releasing with other labels, producers, and bands is something we're very interested in. And down the line, not years, but months, we're just working hard to make sure that we can balance. We don't want to spread ourselves too thin and commit something to somebody that we can't give them the attention that they deserve, because that's not cool, you know?
Yep.
But for sure, yeah, and because that's part of our name, Poison Paradise Records, right? We're trying to be this little oasis in our music community, in the music industry, where we're not doing the gatekeeping thing. We are just open information, transparent communication. And so even if we have like clients building up, if there's a spillover, we'll try and recommend them to someone else. You know, we like to be honest with people.
Yeah. I mean, I just appreciate the complete package, right? Like, I do one-off records for bands. I will get them pressed for that record usually as best I can. Sometimes it's better than others, just never know. But I don't do any artist management beyond that. I might refer them to someone and say, you need to get an EPK done, it'll help me do this. I might refer them to people where they can book shows. I might even help them a bit. But, like, I don't sign bands to a label and then manage them and then put out more records by them. It's a one-and-done deal. So, But, like, you sound like you'd be able to provide comprehensive support.
We would. For now, it's service-based. You know, like you're saying, let's work one step at a time. You know, we would love to support people more financially, but that's not something, you know, we can guide and we can offer support in other means, but, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not, and yeah, I don't expect that you would be able to support a band without them giving you money for the booking and stuff like you can't just do that for free. Not on a real level.
I mean, of course there's favors, you know, we've had friends.
Sure. Hello, doggy.
I mean, we've had friends that we've played with in Florida and they're stranded in Pennsylvania. They're like, do you know where we could go? And I'm like, well, here, you know, I'll give you access to all my Pennsylvania contacts, and wherever you guys are in PA, you know, let me help you. So of course we're always willing to lend a hand wherever we can and with whomever. And
you know, it's funny, and when I remember that, and when we were touring down to Florida, we ran into one of them at a show, and they're like, "You guys are back." I'm like, "Yeah, we're about to leave in like 3 weeks. Like, you want to jump on one of my shows? Like, you help me." I was like, "Yeah,
yeah, see, exactly."
Right. They're like, it's an acoustic show. We're like, we can do acoustic shows.
Yeah. And that's exactly how it should be. I have a buddy of mine, Matthew W. Charles. He's coming up in February. Actually, you guys should probably play the show. I'll send you the info later. But I already have 2 shows that week. And I had to send him to another friend of mine who's there's a new venue in Kingston, Night Swim. And I was like, you need to talk to Quinn. I think they'd be really interested in doing it. And I'll help as best I can. And I'll be there. But I can't officially be the promoter of 3 shows in 1 week.
It's a lot.
All in Kingston. That's just too much. So like I would feel like I would be being unfair to the other 2 venues and the other 2 things I'm already doing. Like I can't promote it physically with flyers or in social media without it being like, oh, Scott's just posting 30 times a day of 3 different shows. Which show am I going to go to? It's just untenable for me.
Well, for those of you at home that are listening to Scout when this does come out, you don't know, but this man will walk for hours handing out hundreds of flyers.
you know, we played a show in the Yukon right next, and there we were in this small town. I think it was like 1,000 people lived there, and there was a sound guy who did sound for the whole town. And he would walk into the venue, go, and then leave.
He went down to the casino to do sound for the next show, and he would come check on us periodically, maybe once every 40 minutes.
Yeah. I was like, "Where's the sound guy?" There's a feedback that's happening. I get off the drums, I fix it, I play, and I'm playing the next song. It's like, look, he just walked in the room. What's going on?
I'm the sound guy for the whole neighborhood.
It turns out he does like the gazebo, the casino. He does the hotel across the street, and I was like, "Whoa, this guy's doing like 4 venues in one night."
That's amazing. That is amazing.
A tiny little town with no engineer.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's you want to be helpful to everyone you can, but if you spread yourself too thin, you're not helpful to anybody.
No,
you're just speeding up your own burnout when you do that.
You are. You know, and I had a person reach out to me about doing a record, and I was like, I would love to do the record. I am not budgeted right now to meet the timeline that you just asked me to meet. I was like, I can't. I have too many commitments that I couldn't possibly get to your record until the fall.
Yeah.
I was like, I just can't. If you need it in April, I'm afraid I probably can't do that.
That's appreciated, though. I mean, it's a lot of people agree to stuff before they really think about can I facilitate that request, or is that realistic?
It's like I don't even know Bobby Edge. He plays in Gone Mad, Hudson Valley Newburgh bands, but he just got done doing a tour with Public Serpent, and he lost his drummer. And I know he tours for a month in the spring and a month in the fall, and I was like, I couldn't even begin to commit to that right now. So much is up in the air in my world. So I try very hard not to commit to things that I don't think I can do. I've learned that my life is exactly this much space left at the moment.
Yeah, right on.
It's, when you get to a certain level of artistry or businessmanship, let's say, like you have to expand your team. And sometimes it's really hard to find people that fit into that role, not because they don't want to or because they're not reliable. It's just maybe they believe in you so much, they're very excited and they don't realize what it takes. I mean, Des and I, when we tour, we always have hired guns, right? And so sometimes there's people that we agree and they agree and they're going to learn all the music, and then it's time to get on the road and they don't know it.
Yep.
They were very excited to go on tour, or they didn't realize we're going to show up and we're going to drill like for hours. We're not going to rehearsal to be drinking and smoking. We're there to work, and
We're there to work. It's an actual job. That's very similar. And I apologize if I've told you the story before about Some Kind of Nightmare, because they toured all the time, and they would always hire a drummer, and they would hire the drummer 6 months before the tour, send them the songs, and then they would pick the drummer up usually a week or two before the tour, go to a place to practice for like a week or two straight, and then go on tour. And they were on a tour like 2 years ago, and the drummer wasn't working. The auditions video was not accurate, and the drummer were nothing. And I had to fly from New York City to Baltimore to finish out the tour for them, even though I never played for them. And I had like a 2-hour practice before the first show.
The vocalist draws art and gives it to the crowd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did sound for them in Alaska.
Yep. They're great. They just broke up, unfortunately. So.
Oh, yeah. It was. I think it was called Esterfest.
Yeah.
Or it's a small town just outside of Fairbanks, Alaska.
Yep. They were great. Well, 18 years they lasted. So. Yeah. But good for them for running that long and making it work, and hopefully they do other projects going forward. But I get the idea of having support. Like, I am a one-man team. Every now and then I try and find people to help that try and do it on a volunteer basis, because I only have so much money and they can't keep up with the pace of what I'm doing. So I have a hard time finding people that actually like, oh, you say you want to help, but that actually means I need to be able to rely on you. If I have to question whether you're going to be there next month, then it actually isn't helpful, because I start relying on you and then all of a sudden you're gone next month.
And then you have to relearn how you balanced all that work and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I currently am enrolled in college for music business.
Right,
and there's literally a career for pitching music to radio stations. Like, literally a career just to do that alone.
That's insane.
And that's one of the things we would do. We pitched to college radio stations and small local radio stations wherever we were touring. And it's just like a whole job in itself. And it's like, if you don't know how to take notes and have a spreadsheet and leave notes so you know when to call back or who left the message, it's just like it's literally a career, and it's one of the hats we wear.
And that's one of the hardest things I find as a label. Like, I have a list of record stores, I have a list of distributors, I have a list of zines, I have a list of podcasts that I try and contact. But like, I'm married with 2 kids, getting my PhD, I work, sometimes I play in a band. Like, I'm not exactly sitting on my laurels all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've made us databases that I pull from heavily when I'm booking shows or doing tour routing and stuff. And it's frustrating for me when I take on a new client, because I've had this happen where a client has said to me, like, I'm not paying for you to just be making cold calls and hopefully getting me something. I'm like, well, it's not. I mean, I've spoken with all of these people before, and this is my record so that I don't reach out to this venue for your genre, which you're not, like, they don't want, like, it's not it's my information, like that I've worked hours and hours to put together because, everyone needs it at some point, this information, why,
But
you're
they're
going to
being
wait.
unfair because even if you were cold calling, that's okay.
It
You know how
is,
many
because
times I book tours by like messaging a band going, "Hey, I really dig your stuff. I'd really love to play with you. Hey, any idea where we can do a show together? Or if you're not available, could you suggest someone to me?" And then I reach out to them. You can't know everyone in every city in every fucking state.
no,
Yeah.
cold calling
No.
is networking. It is
Yeah.
networking at its most
100%.
basic form. It's the same as being a grade schooler and saying, "Hi, would you like to be my friend?" Does anybody remember we used to do that? Like,
That's it takes time and effort, and you're right. It's like I'm not exactly sure where we met, but I know it was
we
just
met
like
at the VFW,
was it the VFW show?
at a show for Outsider, yeah.
Yeah, and we just started talking though. Like we just walked. One of us walked up to the other one. We just started chatting, and
I walked up to you and was like, what does this mean? And you told me what it meant. Oh, and I was wearing a Kill by Florida shirt.
yes, and I had seen your and I had seen your shows at Will Pub, like the flyer and stuff, because I just put out a Kill by Florida record. So yeah, so like we had something, but we just walked up and started talking. It's how you do stuff, and not everyone has the time or ability to make phone calls or send emails that someone's going to respond to. Don't yeah. There are plenty of things I just get and I go, delete. I don't have time for that. It's way too long, and I'm not going to read through this. And you got nothing.
Sometimes it gets overwhelming when there's something you don't do all the time,
Yeah.
and there's like, here's 50 different contacts to a city you've never been to, and it's just like, well, how do I even start my sentence? I've never done this before.
Yep.
It's like, ding, ding, ding. We can help you.
Exactly.
Like,
You know how to do it. So it's there is a skill set to doing that. There's a skill set to writing a press release. I'm not very good at that, I admit. I often have people do that for me because it's not my skill set. And I own that, though, at least.
There's a skill set for pitching alone. You can pitch to every different thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, you want to send, like, let's talk about reaching out to venues or to other bands. Like you said, if it's too long, don't make it hard for people to get through your message, but don't be so curt where you're like, I need something. Like, oh, okay, well, maybe a hi,
Yep. So, it's got to be to the point. Provide me the information I need, but like if I'm like looking at it on my phone, I'm like scrolling on them. I was like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, and I can't continue reading this, and I have enough other messages I have to get to, and I'm not going to not get to you. Maybe I'll at least let you know I'm not interested, but I'm just not focusing on you right now. Like you were too much for me, and you may get lost because things get lost in Instagram, especially. It just gets pushed down and down and down.
yeah.
Yep. It's easy to lose things on Instagram. And
So easy.
even on all the platforms, right? Like nothing, just throughout the day you get all these notifications about things other people are posting. So it might not even be a comment or a reaction to what you posted. It's you got to sift through everybody else's stuff too, just to find where's the information about what I did today.
I was looking for a mock-up cover for this split I'm doing with Celebration Summer and Wolfface, and I'm searching the emails. I know I saw it, and we have all this communication on the email about the jacket. Can't find it. Search Instagram and the group chat. Can't find it there. And I'm like, ah! And they're like, oh, it was over text message. It's like, of course, the one thing I didn't check.
Ah.
Well, like, man, can we just keep it to, like, one place?
No. And then
And
that's
that's
where
different generations, though.
Yeah.
Like we worked with bands for booking shows. Facebook, they're all Facebook oriented, and then we work with bands they don't even have a Facebook.
So many of the new bands do
It's
not.
just IG, right? It's just like, oh man.
So many new bands do not have Facebook, so you can't make them co-hosts. So you do social media management. Do a lot of people ask for that? How do you do that? Like, social media is one of those constantly changing things. Like, when I started the record label, I took some social media classes through Indiepreneur, and they were very helpful. But I'm sure by now they're outdated because it's coming on 4 years since I took the classes. And algorithms change so much and so often. I think you said it on one of your reels on your Instagram page. That's why I have a website, because I know it can't get hacked. I know it's consistent. I know it's me. I don't have to worry about an algorithm. I just know it's mine.
Yeah. For social media, when bands want to talk to me about how to market themselves on it, I tell them, don't throw money at ads because you don't have a firm understanding of how these platforms work. Your demographic on Facebook is different than your demographic on Instagram. It's different than your demographic on TikTok because you have different age brackets utilizing different platforms in different ways. I love Facebook for the purpose of event creation and then sharing that to groups. But
I agree.
I love Instagram. That's my go-to, what I scroll through at night because it's visually more appealing to me. And TikTok, I use it for work. I don't even find it fun because now it's become this selling and self-promotion tool. So when I talk to bands, again, I come from a very data-oriented background. I tell them, I'm like, you have to experiment with your posts and see what kind of reactions you're getting. You have to cross-reference them between platforms. And also, you have to make sure your content is actually good. You know, they say consistency is the best thing, right? Post every day.
But consistently bad doesn't help.
It doesn't. But if you're not posting on brand, you know, you're supposed to share your journey, right? And your creative process. But being authentic to yourself as an artist is much different than I'm posting every detail of my life online. So people, I don't think, always make that differentiation. So you get a lot of, let's just call it garbage posts online. There's a lot of things I don't need to see online.
Yeah, I agree. And,
I'm a band, and I'm showing you what I'm having for breakfast every morning.
No, I don't want to see that.
Yeah. It's like no, be the band. Be the band.
And that's what I tell bands when I talk to them. I was like, don't worry about having followers. Look at the interactions you're having.
The
and what
engagement.
types of interaction. The engagement is what matters. If you have 5,000 followers, but only 100 people engage with your post all week, then it doesn't really do you any fucking good.
That's something we talk about with bands a lot too. You know, you can be like, yeah, I hit that 10,000 mark.
Yep.
Okay, but you know, they're just empty numbers if nobody's actually interacting or buying merch or using the ticket links.
Look at it. They're like, I can tell you right now, in the last 2 weeks, that 5% of my engagement has come through my social media ads that I'm doing for the 2 shows I have this weekend. And I know the ads are working because I've sold a dozen tickets to each of these venues that no one should really be buying tickets for these venues anyway. So the fact that they're buying tickets is great.
It is.
Right on.
But like, I pay attention and I keep track of what works. And if I try something and it doesn't work, I give it a little time and okay, that's not working.
In Alaska, I go part time for music business, so I took a lot of business classes, and there were some courses where you get certified for social media.
Yeah.
So I picked up a social media client in Alaska a couple of years back, 2 or 3 years ago, for a makeup removal company.
Okay.
And I did their social media. I did a lot of data. I searched through all their history and see who's interacting with them. So understanding your audience is very important, because now we're going to curate who interacts with you. We figure out who they are, and then we want to push whatever was working for them.
Yep.
So if the day you were like kind of gothed out and you're fucking headbanging on that video, that's what got you a lot of views. Is like, well, you might want to like curate to that if you're trying to like blow up on social media.
Yeah.
And it all depends on what you're trying to do, right? Like what I do for a show is very regionally based because I want people to come to the show. If I'm promoting a new record coming out, then that's a whole different audience per se. Like I'm not focusing on just the local Hudson Valley area if I'm trying to sell my record to everyone. And so you have to think about your purpose.
For our band Modern Natives, when we ran ads for like 2 months, and I'm talking about we had like 12 different variation videos, right? We ran that.
Yeah.
And I saw your video with the train track. I was like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah. And we had 12 different variations of these 20-second ads. Yeah. And then we siphoned it down to the best one.
Yep.
And then it went into another bracket of 12.
Yep.
6 male, 6 female, and then 6 different age brackets, right? Yeah. And it turns out like 30 to 35 is Facebook for us. That works the best.
Yep.
And then 21 to 26 is Instagram. That works for us.
Sure.
At
And
the
that,
time.
and that makes perfect sense.
But even at the time, this was maybe over a year ago now. I would say it's probably totally different now. Like these
everybody's
ads,
used to it.
These ads have to be an ongoing experiment, and I think a lot of bands are not only, you know, you're upset when you spend money on it and it doesn't get you the results you want, but you're only doing it for a short term. A lot of this stuff really takes persistence and longevity to come back.
Yep. I would do A/B tests and things of that nature. And what I found works for me is doing actually very low cost ads that run for a really long time, and then it starts to like the algorithm tends to learn. At least that's what I used to think it did. Hope it still does. It seems to be working because I could see the interactions increasing as it goes along because it's learning which type of people to send it to.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's and you know what's funny? No matter what the social media is doing and all that stuff, it always comes back down to the scene. Who's going to the shows?
Yep.
I mean, that's the biggest difference between pop music and rock and roll.
Oh, I agree. And
You can look at any like heavy metal band or that's current right now, and their Spotify plays is so low compared to all these rappers and pop stars, but then they pack the shows all night. We want to go to live shows. We want to go to the pit. We want to shout. We want to drink. We want to scream. We want to shoot the shit. Like, it's all about going to the shows.
It's all about the shows, which when the monthly shows at Snappers, the owner was like, well, what is in this for you? Sounds like you're going to spend a lot of money promoting it. Sounds like you're going to spend money feeding people, paying for sound, paying for a door person, paying bands guarantees. What is this? I'm like, well, it's advertising. It's one, supporting music. It's advertising for my label. It's meeting bands that I might want to put out their record. But like, I run ads in zines like Razor Cake and Scene Point Blank and Outsider Magazine, and those are great. And I do stuff on social media. It's like, but really getting people to come to a show, handing them a record, talking to them, that is the best way I know of in my world. And I'm a record label. I don't go on tour. I bring the tour to me. It's my version of taking my band on tour. And I know if I wanted to go see a really good show in New York City, that living in the Hudson Valley would probably cost me like $300 to drive there, probably spend the night because it's 3 hours and I'll be too tired to drive back. Ticket prices, couple beers, some food. You know, I went to a free show once at Generation Records with my whole family of 4 on the train, and I swear it cost me $300 or $400 between 4 train tickets, feeding my kids, getting them a record for a free fucking hardcore show. And I love Ma'afa, but like they were not worth $400. No offense, I love you, Flora.
It's funny.
You know,
but,
so.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go. You please go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, just knowing when to hold on to your money is almost as important as knowing where to put it. You have to be smart with your investments, and I think a lot of bands also get to the point where they're like, everyone gets overwhelmed, right? And they're like, something has to happen for me now, or maybe it'll never happen, and then you maybe make not the wisest choices financially, or you're just pushing the wrong material that maybe people aren't vibing with. But also, I think there's this culture of like, you're just jumping on trends, praying for that viral moment, thinking it's going to launch you into success. But if you don't have the actual foundation where you are posting good content consistently and you're putting out music consistently, sure, everyone gets their 15 minutes, right? You might have that viral moment, but then what? Then it's gone. And now you're back to where you started.
That's why you just need to be a band playing the music you like. Because if you like it, things are going to come in and out of ska. How many times have ska come and gone, right? But if you like ska and you want to be in a fucking ska band, then you're going to be in the ska band when no one wants to listen to ska, and you're going to push yourself and find ways to like tour and be a ska band. Because if that's what makes your like soul glow, then you got to fucking do it, even when ska's not popular.
Now there's the big movement of like, that's what all these trending articles are coming up with now, right? Like 2025 is going to be the year of genre fluidity, and like, go ahead, mix and match, and don't pigeonhole yourself and call yourself one genre over the other. And then you do the festival applications and they're like, which single genre are you and why should you be here?
Yeah.
You see mismatches between what people are doing or what maybe venues and festivals are looking for, and so it's hard just how to market to something that maybe you're getting different opinions from or different information from.
So you do broad base. I know you like broad taste in your music. Do you prefer to work? I mean, I know you from being in a punk band, but you obviously are willing to work with people who do more mainstream stuff because you have varieties of music. Is there a genre that you feel like that you really prefer to work with? And if it's not punk rock, I won't be offended. It's okay. Like what is your like preferred, like you think this is one we could really sink our teeth in and help?
I would say punk though, and alternative rock, because that is what we do the most and have the most experience in.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when we're driving from show to show, we put on pop or we'll put on R&B. And like some of those genres are easier to market, right? Because it's easier to go sit in a brewery and listen to a jazz player for 3 hours rather than, you know, your ears get tired after a while. I'm not saying I don't want to listen to punk rock for 3 hours, but maybe, you know, we've definitely played at restaurants where they were like, you're the background noise. So, you know, and there's been times we've played and no one's listening to us.
Sure.
That's fine. We're there. We're hired for the night to be the music, and that's what
and
it
that's
is.
exactly what you should do, because I personally hate when I go to a restaurant, when I literally can just sit down and have a burger and some fries and talk to like a friend, and then the band who is there that no one came to go see is playing so loud that I can't have a conversation, and everyone just wants to hang out and talk to their friend. I'm like, I get it, and you're actually good, and you're playing the cover songs really well, but I really want to talk to this friend I haven't seen in 5 months.
Yeah.
And you're making it impossible for me to do that. And I didn't even know you were going to be here.
I know. But so it's, I don't know, we really love, because that's what keeps it fun and fresh, right? Like working with different projects and working with different people, that's fun. And it also opens up the doors to collaboration, right? Like you don't always have to work with somebody in your genre to collaborate with them and make some kind of
absolutely not.
track.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, like, we do a lot of genre mashup shows. Like, when Dez is talking about doing folk, punk, and friends, it's like, you'd have hardcore bands, and then you'd have a folk artist right there.
A goth band.
And
I mean, in Alaska, we had a folk band,
hip-hop
artists.
And then
us. We did punk, and then we had country as well. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah,
like because like it just this frenzy is like it's great.
And you know, DC, you know, legendary. Like we would have go-go bands on with the hardcore bands. Like you know, it's you don't have to have just one genre. The soul's there.
And you know, we're not the only people in the world that like more than one genre. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's fun. People go to the show, and so now you have access to audiences that you didn't in the first place, right? Because maybe some of those people wouldn't have come out to that show if they weren't going to see the band they knew.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's like a punk night, and it's fantastic, right? It's perfect. It's the perfect subgenres of punk bands playing together. Yep. And sometimes you get, like Savannah said, a person who's coming out to see the country band, but that country dude loves thrash metal.
Sure,
never goes to the thrash metal shows that are local.
That makes me think of like Tim Berry, the singer from Avail. He's gotten so popular as a folk singer-songwriter that people come to see him that have no idea that he used to be the lead singer of a hardcore band from Richmond called Avail. And he's like, you know, I play shows where sometimes not a single fucking person in the crowd knows that it's Avail. And then I go to other shows where it's all Avail fans who somehow followed me over. He's like, but I never quite know who my audience is going to be because I have holdovers from hardcore and new people that have never heard and don't have any interest in hearing Avail.
There was a country artist I was working with, and I never forget when he was playing guitar. We're in a small studio in Alaska, and he starts playing these metal licks, and I'm like, "You do metal?" He's like, "Yeah, I like metalcore," and then he starts screaming, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" This dude is screaming. He's like, "Whoa!" I'm like, I thought you were just a country singer, bro. Like, this is awesome.
That is rad.
Yeah.
So you never know who you meet.
And if you're going to do a folk band with heavier bands, you don't have to make the folk person play first. It's okay if they play in the middle or even at the end. Folk artists do not have to open every hard show.
Yo, for real.
It doesn't have to be that way, people.
And speaking of shows. Running sound for shows. If the band trusts the engineer's ear, and there's some shows where we don't have the biggest PA.
Yeah.
So it's like the trick is, I would ask permission. I'm like, can I please turn your guitar up and down while you're playing? Because I want the guitar to be as loud as the drums, not louder, screamingly louder. And if I could just get the guitar and the bass to level with the drums, then I could get the vocals to pop out nicely. I mean, it's permission though. It's like, because some people are like, no way, dude.
Yeah.
Like, no way. It's like,
Yeah.
please, I want it to sound awesome with you. Like, I know where you are. I'm a guitar player too.
And you did great work at Snugs, and now you're going to be doing 2 different venues for me coming up, and you haven't been to either venue, I don't think. So you're going to be walking in blind to both like the acoustics, to the setup, and does that not stress you out at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's really fun.
Savannah's like
Because,
smiles, like,
gonna,
oh yeah, it does.
So right off the bat, I'm gonna see how much bass level I can get out of
Yeah.
the venue, right? And I've had times where I have to no matter how much bass you put, nobody hears it. So it's like, okay, cool. If nobody's gonna hear the bass, why am I gonna try and stress the speaker out on that? I
Yep.
can focus on something else. So I'll take the bass out and I'll add some of the mid range of the kick. So you can at least hear the click of the kick going through the speakers.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or like the bass player, it's like, or the guitar player, it's like, oh, you guys could lower a little bit because there's so much white noise in the room, right? So shh. It's like you don't have to be that loud, you know. Or it always comes down to what's the maximum level I can get out of the room.
Sure.
And then once you realize what you're working with in the room, which takes like it's really fast.
Yeah. I mean, like when you go to Snugs, you're working with what they have.
Yes.
But you're doing this show at Snappers, and you're bringing your own PA. So does it make you more comfortable because you have your own equipment and you're familiar with it?
No, it's the same thing because the venue, I have no idea what I'm working with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in there blind. But sometimes like we've had shows on tour where I'm like, listen, it'd be a good idea if we make sure the PA is way off to the side a lot more, but pull it back. So that way it aligns with almost the bass amp, and I'll move the bass amp closer to the PA speakers.
Sure.
So that way they were like together when they're playing, and it makes a difference. There's a time
El Dorado
delay.
is like a fairly big open space, and then you're going to get to Snappers, and you're going to be like basically they're between like 2 walls. So it's like the Snugs, but if there's like walls, it's like kind of like they're in a box. So I have no idea what that means for acoustics because I'm a drummer and I just hit shit.
It all comes down to like the volume of the band, right?
Yeah.
So if the drummer plays soft or medium, that's cool, and then I could get the guitar to be because like it's not accounting for the PA. Let's just talk about the band. If the drummer slams, then naturally the guitar has to come up because you're not going to hear the guitar over the cymbals and the snare.
Sure.
If the drummer, if the venue is huge and the drummer is slamming and the guitar goes really up, but it's such a big venue, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that's a rare occasion in local punk rock shows and metal shows.
Absolutely. You know, what's odd though is like, I mean, it's changed a lot in the last 15 years, but like definitely 15 years ago when I would go on tour, there wouldn't even be anything being mic'd. It would literally just be a PA for vocals. Maybe your local, there's a monitor for the vocalist, and everyone would just be playing out of their amp straight. Even in places the size of like Snugs. Like it would just be, that's it. You got a vocal PA, just like band practice, and that's all you got.
Yeah, when I went to Snugs, I've seen shows there, and I'm like, they're only doing the vocals. Like, what are they doing? Like, they don't even realize what PA they're working with.
No, they have no idea the quality of what they have. It's a good PA.
Yeah. I'm like, they're not even utilizing it. Like usually when we play shows, let's say like the show I'm playing, and I'm definitely knowing I'm gonna mic the floor tom.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear the rumble of the floor tom. That's like one of my favorites, and I'm gonna mic the kick. The snare and the cymbals are so loud, automatically you could hear those, no problem, all the time. But I'm gonna mic the kick to get some bass out of it, and I'm gonna mic the floor tom because I want to hear it rumble when he hits the floor tom.
Whereas most of the time, if anything got mic'd, it'd be my snare and my bass drum. I was like, I guess you can mic the snare, but like I have a high pitched snare already that has a loud crack. It's gonna cut through.
It's gonna cut right through.
It's gonna cut right through. I'm not really concerned about my snare, you know. But I get it. It's all over the place, different. So, you know, I'm excited though for you to like move to the studio and do stuff. If I get anything happen, I want to swing by. Do you do practice spacing too, like for bands to practice? I'm throwing more things for you to put under your hat.
Well, we thought about that. We have the studio, which is up here. We're building an acoustic wall, and we're gonna move the monitor speakers further away. Like, and then in the basement, we're building the rehearsal space, and we can record drums in the basement, or we can record drums up here on the second floor.
Super rad.
And this area is perfect. It's a big room, and it's full lots of drywall and wood and empty tunnels behind us. So it's great for sound to get stuck, to pass through and get stuck.
Awesome. So if you're listening, by the time you get to this, that studio's be fucking ready to go. So you need to reach out to them for studio work, and I'm sure you're ready to help people book stuff too, right?
Yeah.
And everything in between. Are you working with anyone right now on press or booking at the moment? I know it's winter time, so it's like not a very busy time for that sort of stuff yet.
No, it actually is. It's the time to do it, because this is when nobody's playing a Thanksgiving show. I mean, sure there is, but like everybody's visiting family, everybody's doing Christmas. So this is the time to hunker down and work on your songs and get ready to do your press. Like, this is homework time. We just worked with the band in, was it Pennsylvania?
They're in Philly. Yeah, I just put together a new website for them. They're called Drive Through Groove. And they're great. Right now, there's another Hudson Valley favorite. Her name's Kirsten Lee. She has a lot of residencies around here.
Oh, rad.
She's like a country pop blend there. I just started working with her. We're going to do some EPK and website stuff. And I've had a few inquiries just in the last couple days, people looking for information on sync deals and, you know, kind of what are the logistics behind that. And so, I mean, it's nice. And then, again, we're always looking for people to record. We have the time right now, the availability to give to it. And, now is the season to jump in booking. You know, things are filling up fast. I mean, even Snugs is done until through the summer right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm booked there in March, and I have Snappers booked through May at the moment.
Yeah, so places are filling up, you know.
They are. I'm, World Sucks. They asked me to book their June tour, and they just got me the dates today. So I got to dive into that. So it's January 8th. So it's 6 months. That's enough time. And I already got the EPK and everything. So now I just need to, but I didn't know their tour route. Like they weren't telling me where they wanted to go. So it's hard to book something without.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't realize it's not just that, but they should, prepare your merch, get it ready to pack. And something else we always like to tell bands is do a practice pack. There's so many times. We had a system, every box had its place in the trailer. And if one thing was out of place, not everything is fitting.
It's perfectly Tetris. It's funny. I took my daughter and her friend back to school today, and they were concerned there wouldn't be enough space in my my Kia Carnival. And they looked at us like, wow, there's so much space. I'm like, I have toured with 4 people for over 2 weeks with guitar amps, bass amp, drums, merch, and luggage. And you didn't think I could have your 5 suitcases and skis? Trust me, I got this.
So funny.
Right on.
I have got this. I know how to pack a van.
That's so funny.
Tour 101. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I've really enjoyed. I mean, I always enjoy talking to both of you. I love you both dearly. Like, I'm so happy you're in this area, and I got to
love you too,
meet you
man.
both and hang
out. It's been a great interaction.
But I'm happy to share your story, and I think part of what really speaks to me about it is that it comes just naturally, organically from what you've done for yourselves. And you said, "I've done this." Our proven track record is what we've done as musicians and artists, and we can provide this to other people across various genres because we are musically interested in other things besides just your main thing. And I guess I'm just really I respect what you're doing, and I respect how you're building it in a way that you're making sure you have the capacity to provide what you're offering. That you're not like speaking bigger than can be done. Like I just really respect what you're doing, and I'm really excited to see what 2025 has in hold for both of you.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Thank you. Right on, man.
And thank you, everyone, for listening in. This has been Dez and Savannah from Poison Paradise Records, and I hope you fucking enjoyed them as much as I did. All the details on how to reach out to them for sound, whether it's live or studio, for booking, EPKs, websites, or just to be told that you are an immature twat who is not really thinking life seriously, and you think you're just going to go on tour and everything's going to be hunky fucking dory, Savannah will set you straight.
Right on. Well, cheers. Fucking A.
Bye, everybody.
smell the stir fries. I drive home, heat by fumes. I love everything about you.